Oh, perfect. Testing, testing. Can we get this mic turned on? There we go. Can y'all hear me okay? All right. Let's see here. So I know y'all have been sitting for a while. So just before we dive in, stand on up. If you're on Zoom, stand on up. And go ahead, take a deep breath in, stretch it out, bring it over to the side. Yeah. We're going to do this. As a speaker, one of the greatest challenges, other side, it's right after lunch. About this time, everyone's getting a little tired, ready for that cocktail. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. All right, deep breath in. Let it go. Again. Some of you are too cool to do this, but it's gonna make you feel so good. Deep breath in. Awesome. All right, sit back down. Good job. Thanks for playing along. Let's grab a clicker here. All right, who here, raise your hand if you enjoyed Cameron's talk, learned something. Yeah, he is amazing, amazing. Something that you're gonna take away to your business next week. So we're going to continue on with this conversation, going even deeper on the topic of vivid vision. We're going to go into how to clarify and communicate your vivid vision so that you can attract top talent, align your current team, and achieve your goals faster. Sound good? All right. And can everyone hear me okay? The sound sounds good? Thumbs up? Or so-so? Is it too loud? No? All right. Cool. So I was going to start this talk with a different story. And then as it typically goes, in the morning, I'm getting ready and I get this really strong intuition that says, no, you got to tell a different story. I'm like, okay. So it was January of 2019. I had just done a similar process to what Cameron talked about of spending about 3 weeks away on a weekend, getting really clear of my vision for the next 3 years, communicating it, mind mapping it out. And I was feeling so good about it. So I came back into the office and I was charged up, excited, and started working away. We had a big year planned for 2019, a big quarter, lots of sponsorships, events. My calendar was packed full. And I get a call. Actually, it was a text first. And it was a text from my operations manager, the one that was with me from the beginning of starting my business back in 2015. And the text said, hey, can you talk? It's important. And my stomach dropped a little bit. Anyone ever get one of these texts before? These are not a good text. I have never once gotten a text like that. And it was like, hey, you know, I got a great surprise. So no, I say, okay, let's hop on the phone. And she says, hey, you know, it's been great. It's been so fun to grow together. But, you know, I really checked in and I want to start my own business. And so this is my resignation. You know, I'll be on for a month or so, just make sure that you get the right person in. But this is where we part. And I'm sure some of you can relate too, when you have like your operations person that has been with you from the beginning, that knows all the things that you don't know, knows where the passwords are, knows the systems, the processes. I was like, oh my gosh. I was looking at my calendar, and in addition to my fully packed schedule, I was like, I got to hire for one of the most important positions in my company. And so I'm working my mind through this. Okay, you know, the steps to take, create the job description. I got my vivid vision. We're definitely going to use that. And 2 days later, I get a Slack message. It's kind of like an email from another one of my team members that says, hey, can you talk? It's like, yeah, I can talk. And we're a virtual work environment. And he we went on the phone. He had been with me for about a year. It would literally was just gaining momentum, starting to produce some positive results. And he's like, you know, I really checked in. The virtual work environment isn't for me. I really want to be in person. And so I'm putting in my resignation. I was like, okay, I understand. Now I think like, what do you think of the virtual work environment now? Huh? But anyways, so I'm like, okay, gotta fill these 2 positions. A couple days after that, I see an email in my inbox, and it's from our top client that is, you know, responsible for, it generates us hundreds of thousands of dollars in our business each year. And inside of the email, they said, hey, we're taking all of our messaging and our marketing in-house. We've gotten to the point. Thank you so much for helping us grow, but you know, we're no longer going to need your services for the rest of the year. And these 3 situations in the matter of a week were just the beginning of what felt like an unraveling in certain parts of my business. And so I called one of my mentors up that I've been working with, and I said, this is not good. I don't know what's happening right now, but this is not good. And she said to me in a really loving yet stern voice, oh no, Jennifer, this is good news. And I was like, good news? This is good news? And she's like, yeah, from what I understand, you just clarified and communicated your new 3-year vision. And as in the law of physics, anything that isn't resonant to that new vision is going to come up to be released or transformed. So I just see all of these situations that are happening as being released because these aren't a match to where you're going. And so the good news is it was kind of done for you. You didn't have to go through the decision of making some of those tough decisions, because if you're really honest with yourself, were those the people that were going to help you get to where you want to go? And I checked in, and the answer was no. And I knew that, but I liked them, you know, and it helped me get to where I wanted to go at that point, to that point. And I knew with that client, although they were our biggest client, it was a huge time suck. But I was too afraid to let something like that go. And so she said, you have 2 choices in this situation though. Choice number 1 is you can let this circumstance have you. And you get caught up in it, and it's chaotic, and it's overwhelming, and your business continues to unravel, and you let it have you. Or you can have this circumstance without it having you. And the way you do that is by holding the vision, not the circumstance. And when I got that piece of advice, which you're going to want to write down if you haven't yet, to hold the vision, not the circumstance. It was the most important piece of advice that I ever could have gotten. So that over that quarter, as I was, you know, shifting my perspective and saying, okay, how am I going to look at this different? How am I going to look at my business different? And what are the decisions that I need to make that are in alignment to the vision of where I'm heading so that I can transform this? And fast forward that quarter, we ended up hiring rockstar team members that are still with me to this day that helped us grow the business. That ended up being our best quarter we've ever had, our best revenue year to date that we had to date, and we've just continued to grow since. But I really believe it was because that piece of advice, because in that moment I felt like my back was starting to go up to a wall. Who here started to feel like, you know, in 2020 and some of maybe 2021, you were faced with some really hard circumstances and situations, but that if you reflect back in the rearview mirror, were actually a gift? Raise your hand if you notice that some of those challenges, they turned out being your greatest gift. Yeah. So we have those one of 2 options, but It's hard to hold a vision when you don't know what the vision is. I had a client reach out to me who said, they're like, I wanna gain clarity and communicate my vivid vision because I get the concept of hold the vision, not the circumstance, but I don't know what my vision is. So that's what we're gonna help you do today, is continue to go deeper on this concept of how do you start to gain clarity of that 3-year vision. Does that sound good? All right. So what we're gonna cover, the 7 blocks that can stop you from getting clarity of your vision. Raise your hand if you feel you are clear of where it is that you're headed. Raise your hand high if you're like, yep, I know where I'm going. All right. Raise your hand if you're not so clear. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna help you bust through this. And then the 6 ingredients to communicating your vision. Cameron touched on many of these. We're gonna go a little bit deeper though, so that this anchors in, so you have the steps to know how to start when building your vivid vision. And I have a handout for you at the end that covers a lot of what I went through in the slide deck, so you don't have to take copious notes. And at the end, I will share with you my email. So if you want the slide deck, I can send it over to you as well, so you can just be present and listen to the content. Also, near the end of the presentation, I'll share with you, for those of you who want to go deeper and create a vivid vision and get that additional support, what that looks like. Sound good? So since 2015, my company, we've helped over 350 companies from all different industries in creating their vivid visions one-on-one, and then thousands through our workshops. As you saw Cameron speak there, him and I met in 2015, and let me back up here. There we go. Him and I, I think met in 2015. He actually became a client of mine. And the piece of advice was the piece of advice that he gave to you too today, which was create your vivid vision. So in 2015, I was just starting off my business. I was a team of 1, a contractor at the time. And nobody really knew who I was in the industry. And as I started to map out what my vivid vision was for 3 years, a lot of it kind of felt like make-believe. But I wrote down what I would love. And I said, I want us to be the top company in the online business space for messaging and for helping entrepreneurs clarify and communicate their vision, their business owners. I wanted to work at the time, one of my dreams was to work with some of the top leaders in the space. That then turned into, just really wanting to continue to serve entrepreneurs and business owners, professionals like you in a deeper way, to grow a team. And within about 4 to 6 months of writing my first vivid vision, which I'm now on my 3rd one, I started to have these wild synchronicities happen where I was getting introduced to people who would connect me to someone else. And I started to work with a lot of the clients that I had wrote down as dream clients on my vivid vision. One of the visions I wrote down is I would love to speak on different stages on the top stages in our industry. And within, a year or so, when I started getting recognized as being the top company in the online business space, these opportunities started opening up. And I started to grow my team. I remember there was a moment, it was like about 3 years right after I created my first vivid vision. So it would have been 2019. And we had our team retreat in San Diego, California. And I was looking around at my team, and it was just exactly what I had described as the team and culture section in my vivid vision. I was blown away how specific it was. 10 team members sitting there, the things that we were doing, the alignment of our core values. So all that to say, this stuff works. It works. I'm on my 3rd one. There's a study that shows that 183 of 183 entrepreneurs averaged at about $2.5 million in revenue. The average growth of companies with a vision was more than double the companies without a vision. So in addition to recruiting top team members and being able to recruit top team members without having to spend a ton. You know, a vivid vision can help with that, but also your revenue for yourself as a leader enrolling into the vision every day, aligning vendors, clients, customers, etc. So how do you start to gain clarity of your vision? Here's my belief. Have you ever seen, oh my goodness, what is it called? Acorn, right? An acorn that you could just fit in your hand, when in its full potential, turns into a big oak tree. And that acorn, when it's in your hand, has the exact coding to be able to turn into that oak tree. It knows exactly how to do that. That's its natural essence. Now, it does need the right soil and water and sunlight to be able to grow into that oak tree, but it has the potential to. And I believe every single one of you in this room and on Zoom, there is a vision inside of you that gaining clarity of your vision isn't going to come outside of you. It is already inside of you. It's like that seed that's planted. Now it's just a matter of removing the blocks that have maybe gotten in the way. Does that make sense? So we're going to dive into the 7 invisible blocks first. And I just want you to notice which one of these is maybe resonant with what's been keeping you stuck from truly gaining clarity of the vision for both your company and your life. So the first one is you just say, I don't know what I want. And you leave it at that. And what will oftentimes come with this is if you're noticing yourself being confused a lot, I'm not sure if I should be doing this or this. Common phrases, I don't know what I want. You're playing guessing games. You're like, well, what do you think I should want? You're delegating out what it is. But as I shared, I believe that you already know. If you're really, really honest with yourself, if you get quiet, you know. Number 2, the block is being concerned what other people will think. And how this could show up is the fear of judgment. Maybe you have a vision for the type of practice you want to build or how you want to grow, but as soon as you sit down and you write it, you notice these voices come in your head. What's this person going to think? What's this person going to think? I can't get too big. What will others think? Anyone here notice that one ever come up? Pretty common. Number 3 is not allowing yourself to want more. Being content with where you're at. And if you notice some feelings of guilt or unworthiness, how this can show up is, I want to be grateful for what I have. And it's totally cool. Like, you can absolutely be grateful for what you have and also want more for your business and for your life. Those two aren't mutually exclusive. They're actually so much more powerful when combined. But oftentimes this can happen. And so I don't want to be ungrateful. I don't want others to feel like I'm leaving them behind. So you stay the status quo. You don't allow yourself to truly lean into your vision and what it is that you really want. Number 4 is pretending that you don't know what you want, even though you really do know what you want and it's quite present and aware to you. So how this shows up is a lot of fear, and it's masked by maybe projecting things on others. Maybe you're talking with some of your colleagues and they say what they're up to or how they've grown and how they've expanded. And you tell yourself, well, that seems like a lot of work. I don't want that. But like secretly you do. Or I can't do something like that. I have this, and this. I got these things to take care of. So you just rule it out, even though you know that that's what you really want. Or who do they think they are to be doing that? Who do they think they are to be growing that quickly? And we project out. So just notice if this is one of the ones that comes up for you. Number 5 as a block is the feeling of capping yourself. I see this especially in very ambitious business owners, professionals, entrepreneurs, where if you notice some scarcity or feeling limited in a lot of how you're taking action, and so you don't write something down because you're afraid that by writing it down, you're limiting yourself. I don't want to write down $1 million in revenue as a goal because does that limit me to 2 million or 3 million or 4 million? I don't want to write down this many practices open because will that limit me to others that I don't even know what's possible? Anyone run into? I don't even know what's possible. And so you don't want to not come up with a vision out of the fear of not knowing what's possible. The key here that I recommend to all of our clients when we're helping them write their vivid visions is at the end of your vivid vision, you're writing all of this and something even better still. So you're kind of holding it and saying, from my level of awareness, this is what I know to be possible. And this is my vision. And I'm going to hold it here, knowing that I'm open to it being even better than I can dream up. Yeah? Number 6 is getting caught in the how. So the core here is overwhelm. Anyone here run into a little overwhelm? Well, you're saying, well, yeah, I would love that, but how am I going to make that happen? I don't even know where to start. There's so many things I need to do. Where do I start first? I want to build my marketing in this way. I want to do it, I want to I would love my marketing to look like this, but I have no idea. Who am I supposed to hire? A tech person, a copywriter, a designer? What am I supposed to pay him? And then you just put it all to the side. And then number 7 is afraid to know or afraid to pivot. And so the core here is responsibility. Maybe you know that part of your vision is actually taking a pretty big pivot or detour in what you're currently doing right now. And the idea of that feels really uncomfortable. And so you can sometimes just play in this idea of like, oh, well, I just need to learn more. Once I learn more, or I'm not ready yet, I'll be ready later. Or there's a lot of awareness. You know all the things you should be doing, but few results because you're not fully taking action. Because you're afraid of making that big power move. So out of these 7 blocks, I want you to just take out your journal here for a moment and just write down what is the 1 or 2 that you notice yourself get caught up in the most around gaining clarity of your vision. And just write it down. I'm not going to have you share with anyone. This is something very personal. So write down what is the 1 or 2 that you notice you get caught up in the most that can sometimes form that thought loop. And then right below that, I want you to take a moment and write, what's the cost of you continuing to play that story in your mind? What's the cost? Is it, for example, I know that I got to pivot, and this is the one that keeps showing up. I want to make a slight adjustment in how I'm doing things, but I'm afraid. And the cost to that is I know that the longer I wait, the more things aren't going to be, things aren't going to change, the more unrest I'm going to feel, the more frustration I'm going to feel, because I know that this is what I got to do. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if this is landing so far. If you found like 1 or 2 of these resonated. All right. Because the first thing in gaining clarity of your vision is having the awareness of what are some of these that may be coming up, and then choosing a new awareness, choosing to think higher than whatever that story or belief is to begin to gain clarity of your vision. Because it's one thing for you to see your vision around clarification, but then once you begin to gain clarity of it, if you can't articulate it to your team and they don't see it too, it stops there, right? It gets lost in translation. Cameron touched on that a lot. It becomes just another idea. And so that's why in this next part of the presentation, I want to share the 6 ingredients for beginning to gain clarity, of communicating your vision. Better get that. All good. So the first one he touched on already is getting yourself in a vision state when it comes to communicating your vision. Because here's the thing, I work with thousands of business owners, entrepreneurs in creating their vivid vision. And you don't want to try squeeze in brainstorming your vivid vision and doing your mind map in the middle of your meetings or in the middle of appointments with clients. Because likely what you're going to do is you're going to write down, what's my vision? Well, for my team to stop asking me so many questions and solve their own problems for once. Or for me not to feel like my business is taking over all my time and all my energy, or more profits. What do I want? More profits. But it's coming more from this like static energy. And so instead, you want to come from a vision state. There's many different ways that you can do this. As Cameron mentioned, going somewhere in nature, just blocking some time of somewhere that feels inspiring to you. Also, things like breath work, meditation, walks, to just allowing yourself the time and space for this really important, sacred process. You are casting the vision for your future. So important, so that your future is a place that you and your company and your families actually want to visit. It deserves the time and space. The second ingredient for communicating your vision is asking the most important question. Now, I may have given this away already by going to the slide, but can anyone guess what the most important question is? Yes. Yes, nailed it. What would I love? I learned this from a mentor of mine years ago, and it honestly changed my life. Because when we ask the question, what would I love, when it comes to my future, it is a question that will cut through and get to the truth. Several years ago, I was leading a vision expander session with a client. And through our vivid vision process, this is where we interview our clients and have them unpack their vision. And then our writers take it and we write it, and then we'll design it. And on the expander session, I was asking the client, okay, what do you want in the area of your core business activities? And he was like, well, this is what we should be doing. And this is what makes the most sense. And, in order to be competitive, we got to do this. And it was like all of these shoulds. He was shoulding all over himself. And I was like, okay, I get that. I get that strategy is important. I'm all about that. But is this what you would really love? And he looked at me a little crazy and he's like, what would I love? I was like, yeah. Because you are about to invest the next 3 years of your time, your energy, your mental bandwidth, your life force into this vision. And the last thing that we want to have happen is for you to cast a vision for the future. You get there and you realize that it's a golden jail cell, meaning you set it up for yourself. You knew that you didn't want it from the start. And now you're here and it's pretty unfulfilling. Who here can relate? So why that question, what would I love, is so important is because it'll get you to the truth. What is it that you really want? What kind of business do you want to build? What kind of life do you want to build? How do you want to spend your time when you're not working? What are you doing in your free time? And the more that you focus towards that, the more you're going to bring that into fruition so you actually build a life that you love. Number 3, Cameron touched on this one, paint the picture. So you want to use as much vivid imagery as possible as you're writing out your vision. This is an example. One of our clients, they came in and we said, okay, what do you want your sales to look like? And they're like, our sales team is crushing it. I was like, awesome. I have no idea what that looks like. How are you going to know what that looks like? And so we came up with, for them, we know that we're crushing it because each sales rep on our team is closing a deal a day, if not more. It's a very tangible way that they'll know, yeah, we've arrived. Does that make sense? I'm going to give you another example. Maybe you're saying, we have an awesome team. What does an awesome team look like to you specifically? So we helped our client transform this into, we have a team of experts with world-class skill sets that also align to our vision and our values. There are 7 key players on our marketing team, including the newest addition of our creative director. So when you are recruiting new team members, you share with them your vivid vision up front. At our company, in our job description, it maps out the job, and then it says, read the vivid vision. If by the end of reading this, you are not totally excited about helping to make this a reality, don't bother applying. And I can't tell you the number of team members on my team now that said when they read the vivid vision, it was the exact vision that they had in their mind for their specific role. So the more that you can paint the picture of what some of these roles look like in your organization, top talent's gonna look at that and say, yeah, that's me. That's where I wanna go. I had one of my newest team members, we had to the point of, not being able to attract top talent. The last couple of team members that we've hired on, we've had like 300 to 500 applications for these positions in the last several months. And the person that we ended up hiring for our newest client manager position, she got to the final interview. There was like 3 people. And she said, I just want to let you know, I have been dreaming about this job for years. Like as soon as I read everything about the job description, everything about the vivid vision, she's like, this is my dream. I need this and I'm going to do anything to get it. And that's what you want. You want people to be inspired, but it starts by casting that vision, getting them excited about it. This is a photo on the left of Dr. Jack. And Cameron actually mentioned a little bit about this too, the kids' dental place. So we created a vivid vision for Dr. Jack back in 2017. And he wanted to aggressively scale his dental practices that were all over California. And his goal was by 2020 to have well over 25 practices, hundreds of employees. But one of the most important things to him as they scaled up quickly was not losing the sense of their mission and that core purpose, and making sure that all the team members were on board about living from a place of love and compassion and making a difference in these kids' lives. And so he used the vivid vision as a tool for that, to make sure that all of the new hires that they hired on in those 3 years were on board and saw what he saw. In 2021, or earlier this year, he called me up and he was like, Jen, you won't believe it. It all happened. The vivid vision, all of it happened. He ended up having a very successful merger. And he said, now it's time to cast the new vision. I want to help dental offices do the same of what I just did. And so we created his new vivid vision on the right-hand side there. Number 4 is using present tense and reflecting back. So as you're mind mapping out your vivid vision, using terms like we have versus we will, it looks like, not it's going to look like, over the past 3 years, not the next 3 years. So here is a beautiful example of the beginning of the Power Practice Vivid Vision, which hopefully you'll, Bethany may be sharing part of the Vivid Vision when they're ready with you. But it's December 31st, 2024, and the Power Practice has helped hundreds of independent eye care professionals surf the waves of the ever-changing healthcare industry. We provide consulting and coaching services completely tailored to our clients and make their definition of success our top priority. So good, so clear. It's here and now. Is this all landing? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, awesome, cool. A mentor of mine says we don't go to our vision, we come from our vision. Although we think, the future, okay, that's, 3 years out, we're not just gonna arrive there one day. We come from our vision every single day, and the way that we get there is by being the leader and showing up congruently and consistently from that vision. That's how we arrive there. And then number 5 is to use affirmative language. So there is a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. And this is basically the part of our brains, our subconscious, that is intaking billions of bits of information every day and sifting and sorting to see what is relevant and what isn't, what it should be aware of and what it shouldn't. It's kind of like Google in the sense that, there's millions of websites out there, but with Google, you can plug in specific keywords and you're only going to get back the specific websites related to what you plugged in. Well, the same thing happens for our reticular activating system. Whatever we specifically put out, that is what our brain is recognizing as the patterns to say, okay, we show the patterns that are a match to this. This is kind of like the science behind the law of attraction. If you say, oh, I want to buy a car, I don't know, you're looking to buy a new white Tesla, and you decide that, and then suddenly you see white Teslas everywhere. That's actually just that part of your brain that's recognizing the pattern because you said that it's important to start looking towards. And so as you're writing your vivid vision, though, you want to be mindful of the words that you're using. And this is something that when my team and I are helping and writing the vivid visions for our clients, we're combing through all of the words to make sure that they're affirmative. So for example, one of our core values at Conscious Copy used to be aligned action, focused momentum over scattered motion. But then I realized, well, we say our core values before at every single meeting that has 3 or more people in our organization. Doesn't matter if I'm leading it or someone else is, that is a standard. We lead with our we start with our core values. But I was like, I don't want our whole team constantly repeating the words scattered motion. Because I don't want to be attracting that. So we transformed our core value to we believe in aligned action. We grow with positive and focused momentum. See the difference? Or this is another one of our clients. When they came in, they had some core values that were a lot like, don't do this. We don't do this. We changed them to energy and it is infectious. I think before it was like no bad attitudes. No, let's not do that. Own your domain, action-oriented, speed over perfection. And then finally, number 6 is think where, not how, right now. And again, this is one of the biggest things that I can see business owners run into when they're crafting their vivid vision is that, well, how am I going to make it happen? How am I going to make it happen? So similar to, well, not so similar, but to an eye exam, we're going to do a vision exam, okay? Raise your hand if you can read this. Pretty much all of you, pretty good. And so what this proves is, even as how our brains work, we're not looking at every single step in the path. All we need to know is where we are and where we want to go. And we'll always be provided the next step. It's kind of like a GPS system. If you're going to go on a cross-country trip, you plug in the destination of where you're at, where it is that you want to go, but you don't want your Google Maps telling you every single step to get to that cross-country trip. Imagine how overwhelming that'd be if it was like, okay, you're gonna, take a left, and then you're gonna go 3 miles north, and then you're gonna take right on this street, and then you're gonna go 50 miles on this freeway, and then 30 miles on the, you'd be like, that's too much, right? That's getting caught up in the how. So focusing on where you're at, but then where is it that you want to go, knowing and really trusting that you're always going to be guided to your next step. One of our Vivid Vision clients, his name's Billy, and when we helped him create his Vivid Vision, he said he had this pretty cool office in downtown San Diego, but he's like, I want the office of champions. And specifically, he wrote, our event space is like a luxury movie theater with a nightclub vibe. We got comfortable recliners, flashing party lights, and bottle service. He's a marketing company. He's like outrageous as it is, but it's amazing. And when his team first saw this, they were like, how are we going to do that? But he was so convicted of this vision, and he's like, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make this happen way quicker than 3 years. In about a year, these are actual photos of his office. The movie recliners, luxury recliners, this stage that's kind of a combination between a comedy club and a movie theater vibe. But it all just started with casting that vision. This is what I want. This is what I would love. And then taking the aligned action from there. One other thing on this is funny. On Wednesday, I was leading a virtual Vivid Vision workshop for a group of my clients, and I told this story. And one of my clients, she's in the financial services space, and she raised her hand. She's like, I definitely do not want that office. She's like, mm-mm. She's like, we are about family, and that is our core value, and that I just don't want any of that. And I was like, perfect, because polarity creates clarity. You don't have to have that vision. What do you want? And she was feeling stuck on how she wanted to create her office environment, because she was like, well, with professional services, it's typically kind of flat and boring. Like, what would we really do? But because of that polarity, she was like, no, I know what I want. I want rooms in our office where our clients can come in and bring their kids and they can hang out in there. I want it to feel like you're walking into someone's house, like that living room vibe where you just feel at home. It's not this sterile environment. I want there to be plants everywhere. And one of her main core values that her whole business is wrapped around is family. So it's important for her to have that weaved into the fabric of her work environment. So you get to have what you want and what you would really love. And it may look totally different than the person next to you, and that's okay. It's your vision, not anyone else's. And that's another piece, is as you're writing your Vivid Vision, you're not writing this Vivid Vision with the rest of your team. You're not having a collaborative team meeting where everybody weighs in, because what happens is that waters down the vision. And then your team's going to be very attached if their part's in it or not. As the business owner, as the entrepreneur, your role is the vision holder. You cast the vision. And then you rally around the right who's to help you with the how. Does that make sense? All right. So the 6 ingredients for crafting your vivid vision. Number 1, getting in that vision state, asking, what would I love? Painting the picture, using present tense and past tense, reflecting back, affirmative language, and focus on the where, not how right now. And so we're going to have not worksheets, but papers that we're going to pass around to your team, if we can actually pass those around, and that provides some of the recap of the presentation. And for those of you, before we go into Q&A, if you would love the slide deck, just go ahead and send me a quick email. My email is Jennifer with 2 N's at consciouscopy.co, not .com. Conscious is a pretty tricky word to spell, which is hilarious because I'm a little bit dyslexic too, and I still struggle with spelling that word. But conscious copy, and then just all you got to do is just put the subject line PP slides for power practice slides, and I'll get them over to you by Monday at the latest. Okay. All right. So once you have your vivid vision, it really does become a filter for to help you discern, is an opportunity aligned to your vision, or is it a seductive distraction? I often say, you know, as entrepreneurs or business owners, ones where, you know, you are working for yourself, one of our greatest gifts is we see opportunity everywhere. One of the kryptonites is we see opportunity everywhere. And so helping you to focus in on what is going to really move the needle forward. And then I have an invitation for you. For those of you, you know, you've been listening to the idea of clarifying and communicating your vivid vision, and you know that this is something that is really going to make a big difference in your organization. I'd love to invite you into a complimentary vision clarity call with one of my team members. This is a free high-value session that by the end, you're going to gain clarity of what's really standing in the way of your vision, and then how to start communicating your vision much more clearly. And then at the end, we'll explore if my team and I can help you bring that vivid vision to life. We can share with you what that looks like as well. But either way, you're going to walk away with value and a lot more clarity. There are limited spots available for that. And so I do have a QR code. You can either use the QR code on the slide deck here or with the handouts I'm passing out. It's at the bottom there in the recap. And you just scan that QR code. You can book your session. As I mentioned, I think we have maybe 20 spots available, and there's a lot more of 20 of you here. So if that's something that you know that you would love, we would love to just serve you in this way as a complimentary gift. And so to recap, you know, when you have a clear vision for the future, you communicate it, not only so that you understand it, but all of the people around you understand it. Then you're going to be able to create your company's future, your, you know, really your life's future to be a place that you and your team really want to visit. And when those challenges and those situations and those circumstances rise up, remember to hold the vision, not the circumstance. Yeah. So that's what we got. All right. We have, thank you. We can do a little bit of Q&A here.
Thank you so much, Jen. All right, where's Michelle again? Oh no, we don't need Michelle. Oh, I'm gonna do this. Okay. All right, who's got questions for Jennifer?
What's your name?
Tom.
Tom.
Sorry.
Hey, Tom.
Hi. You mentioned not collaborating with your team on your vision because they could have some things that have buy-in and they may feel left out. Since a lot of us are in the same boat, do you think there's any value or validity to sharing our vision for our business with colleagues who may be doing something very similar?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, brainstorming the idea with colleagues, yes. With team, you know, you could, if you wanted, you could have like a separate meeting where you're just saying, I'd love to get your thoughts, but you're not saying, hey, I really want to make sure that everyone's perspective is heard here because I'm creating the vision for the company. And you know, so with our process, step 2 of our vision, vivid vision method is a vision expander session. And we always tell our clients, the only person that should be on that call is the main business owner. Maybe like sometimes if there's business partners, having both of them on, but the rule is we're not going into the how. And what has happened, because some people have said, no, I want the rest of my team on this, or they share the first draft with their team. And then their team starts asking them all of these how questions. And you can just tell the business owner's confidence and excitement starts to fizzle out because they're like, I don't know. And then the team gets a little bit shaken up and they're like, oh my gosh, and it just disrupts things a little too soon. So, you could have some brainstorming, but just be really mindful that it's just like, hey, I would love to get your ideas, but not all of these may be considered, and that's okay. So frame it right.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
All right, more questions for Jen. You covered it all?
Y'all are just like ready for happy hour or something. You're like,
Oh, we got another one.
either a question or
Yes.
hello, what's your name?
Carly,
Carly, hi.
this is really loud, isn't it? Okay, so I know you said to focus on your vision and not the hows, but when you have multiple team members quit and your largest client leave and you get bogged down in the muck and mire, right?
Mhm.
How do you rally and circle back to the positive focus?
Such a good question. For me, in that instance, there was several things that I do, and I still do to this day. One is I am reviewing my vivid vision nonstop in those moments, because I've noticed for myself when a lot of that started to happen, I felt like I wanted to react versus respond. Well, now I gotta contract, and I gotta do we need to reconsider these parts, but it was play more defense than offense. So for me, I was constantly every day, what I do every day to this day, because of that situation that happened in 2019, is once I created my vivid vision, I actually recorded myself an audio of me speaking my vivid vision out loud. And the very first thing that I do in the morning is I go on a walk and I listen to the vision of myself and my audio to get myself in that frame of mind. And it's like, okay, how are we still making decisions from the vision? Yes, we may need to make some temporary moves, but I don't want to make any moves that are going to completely derail us from where we're going. The other thing is really utilizing getting in a vision state. So whether that is breath work, meditation, just filling your mind with positive motivational videos, inspirational videos, books, just anything that can help you as that little bit of a lifeline in those challenging moments to remind yourself of what you're doing, why it matters, what you're really capable of.
Can you tell us some of your favorites?
Yeah, so one of my favorites is definitely Tony Robbins. I'll just pop stuff on there. Dr. Joe Dispenza is another one of my favorites. Mary Morrissey are some of my favorites. Yeah, and I'm just like, I'll listen to them, even like a 10 or 5-minute video of like, okay, let me just get back, find my center here.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
You kind of answered this already, sort of.
What's your name?
So,
What's your name?
oh, I'm sorry, I'm Laurie.
Hi, Lori.
I've been the sole owner of our optometric practice for quite some time,
Mhm.
and now I have a partner.
Mhm.
So when you're doing this vision thing, do you do it separately and then come together? Is that that's how you see it?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that you could do it if you have a partner. What I would recommend is you both go and do it on your own first, and mind map out, and then come together and talk through where are you in alignment, where are maybe things a little bit different, and then come to a common vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are pointing. Okay. This is stressful. Absolutely, Natalie.
Hi,
Hello,
Oh.
what's your name?
I'm Rena. On the stumbling blocks, how do I fire myself or get past number 3 by not allowing myself to want more? Right.
So you're noticing that you're not allowing yourself to want more.
Yeah, lazy comes to my mind. So,
Lazy. So can I ask you a little, like a deeper question? What's the story that you make up about wanting more? What does that mean? Like if you want more, what is that going to mean?
I do not know.
What's that?
I'm not sure. So
I think you do. When it's like, okay, I don't want more, or
Oh, I don't want to work harder. There we go.
boom. All right. Yes. So that is the story that you want to get after. Because it's not that you don't want more, it's just right now you're associating wanting more with having to work harder.
Okay.
So, and that's a common thing. It's like, well, do I really want to double my revenue? Because does that mean that I'm going to have to then double the number of hours I work? No, thank you, if that's the case, right? Which is super valid. But if I was to ask you this question, what if you say doubled your revenue or got more without having to work harder? Would you be open and available to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So that's what you write down. That is what you write down because, and again, you don't need to know the how right now. But just claiming that that is what you would love will start to then transpire possibilities. And there's a practice that I teach, and it is, you ask a specific question in a very specific way that is more of a high vibrational question. So it could look like, what are ways that I could, or double my revenue in the next year or two without having to work harder? And then you just start, you allocate maybe 20 minutes, no distractions, no phones, and you're just going to start to write and brainstorm all of the possibilities. And the first possibilities are going to be a little stale because it's like pumping water out of a well that hasn't been pumped for a while. It's like all of the old water is going to come out first. But then you may get some ideas that are like, that is the way I could do it. I could just double my prices is a possibility. And then if you're like, oh, that would seem scary, well, then you get to work on that belief and you upgrade that belief. But then you also just leave it open too for ways that you don't even know how. For example, one of the very similar thing that I wrote down a couple years ago is, I would love for us to have multiple different income streams in the business without having to do any more work. That would be very nice, right? And I had no idea, but we're just finalizing a licensing deal where there's a company that is licensing all of what we've already created. And the potential of it is multiple $100,000 net a year. Like, I had no idea that that was possible. And if you would have told me 2 years ago, I probably would have been like, no, there's no way I could do that. But I got after those beliefs. So that's why with those blocks, you just look at what's underneath of that, because when you upgrade it, that's when the breakthrough will happen. But you can absolutely have that.
Thank you.
Is that helpful? Yes. Cool.
Okay, anyone else?
Hello, I'm Greg.
Hi, Greg.
I don't know if I heard this in either of your talks about this vivid vision for your business. If as part of this work with your clients that you're also looking how that is in your overall life goals.
Yes.
And so having a vision goal where I want my life to be in 3 years, and is my vision for my business in harmony with that? And then maybe other vivid visions for other parts of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Greg. Yeah, so at my company, we help entrepreneurs and business owners with both their business vivid vision, but also their life vivid vision as well. The life vivid vision, the structure that we use is, what do you want your health, your relationships, your business, and your lifestyle to look like? And then there's segments within those. And oftentimes, it just depends with our clients, like if they are drawn to one first over the other, they'll start there. But we definitely recommend, like for myself, I have both. We've created both for Cameron. And it is so important to make sure that your business vision and the rest of your life vision fit together perfectly, that they're not going two separate ways. So very important to look at that. And I highly recommend creating it. My fiance and I created our relationship vivid vision. We just got engaged this year and we sat down at our last relationship retreat and we said, hey, what do we want the next 3 years of our relationship to look like? So you can do family vivid visions as well. What do you want your family to look like? There's so much possibility. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, any other questions for Jen?
All right.
Okay, one more.
I love all these questions.
Hi, Lior.
Hi, Lior.
What do you do if you feel like you've lost your passion at times? It's just overwhelming and you're just been doing it and you're tired.
Good question. Anyone else feel that from time to time? Yeah. You're tired. There's a couple things. One is I'm always very careful to not make any big decisions when I am feeling under-resourced. So if you're feeling like you're, kind of lost your passion, you're tired, the first thing I would do is how can you block a little bit of time in your calendar, whether it's even an afternoon or a day, if you can, a long weekend, and just go and do something that is going to nourish and resource you first and foremost, so that you can kind of not allow that overwhelm to be running the lens in which you're looking at things, which is so real. I mean, gosh, the last 18 plus months, I'm sure we all could say that there's so many times where you just feel like, I don't know how much more I can do this, or this is tiring. Once you've done that, and especially too when you've allowed yourself that afternoon or however it may be, I'd really write down what are all the things that I'm doing that I enjoy. And then on the other T-chart, what are the things that I'm doing that I don't enjoy? Because sometimes with feeling like we lost our passion, it may just be that you're just doing too many tasks and projects that are outside of your unique ability. And so how can you start to delegate and outsource some of those? But then too, if you're like, hey, I'm just not feeling passionate about what I'm doing anymore, it's good news. Polarity creates clarity. So then you go into the framework I shared of like, what would I love? And start to lean into that question. What would I love next? Is that helpful? Good question. All right, my friends, I think that is it for today. I will be around for the day and for the evening. So if you have specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. If you haven't signed up for that Vision Clarity call yet, definitely use the QR code and get those booked up. And it was such a pleasure sharing with you today. So grateful. Thank you.
Jen, thank you so much. Guys, we have one more speaker today. We're going to take a super fast 5 to 10 minute stretch break so we can get him set up. And we've got a great speaker to finish out the afternoon. So take a quick stretch and we'll see you back in a minute.